Alright, we're ready to get started with round 3, but first let's have a quick look at how the first 2 rounds have gone. So we have Argent in the lead with 3 points, Arborec and Sardak No on the second place with 2 points, and Hakan last with just a single point. And we are now in the strategy phase. Sardak No has already picked leadership, that he wants to stock up on command tokens. And then Argent picks trade, probably because he lacks some resources to be able to score public objectives. And then Hakan is picking technology. I wonder what he is up to, but it fits Arborec really well because I want to research Dark Energy tab. I don't have that much movement. I'm actually picking the Warfare strategy card so that I can use some of my units twice. And now we're rolling for the NPC strategy cards. The first one is Politics. And let's see what the next one is. That is Diplomacy. And now it's Sardak No's turn, and he plays Leadership as his very first action. And this always puts all the other players in an interesting dilemma. If you have any planets that both have resources and influence on them, do you want to spend the influence this early in the game round, or do you want to keep the resources to produce for, or maybe research technology later in the round? But Argent is for sure buying some extra command tokens, trying to catch up on the disastrous round 2 for them. So he or I don't want to run out of tokens in this game round. And now gets to be Argent's turn, and he plays trade immediately. And he certainly needs some trade goods or some resources to score the public objectives. So first he gets 3 trade goods for the card. And I just picked 9 trade goods. So let's see when I get to put those back. And now we're moving on to Arborec's turn. And he moves into the Gravity Rift with a planet on it. And it's always safe to fly into a Gravity Rift. It's more critical when you try to exit it again, because then you have to roll a die for each ship you have in there that wants to fly out. And if you roll 1 to 3, then the ship is destroyed and any units on board that ship. And if you roll 4 to 10, then it survives and actually gets an extra movement. And on the planet he found a red relic fragment. This is now Hakan's turn, and he activates the system with Arinam and Mir in it. So he's going for Arinam right now. And this will prove to be a really important move for Hakan, as you will see a little later. So there were a lot of negotiations going back and forth between Argent and Hakan. And Argent and Hakan agreed on that Hakan could borrow this planet. So we are now in the space combat. I didn't produce any hits on anti-fighter barrage at first, and Argent didn't roll any hits for the single destroyer he had in there, the Strike Wing Alpha 1. So Hakan lands there and finds some local fabricators. So he gets 1 commodity, so that's great. So now we're sharing a system. And we're now rolling for the NPC player, and Diplomacy is being played. But nobody follows Diplomacy this early in the game. So we are now back to Sardak No's turn, and he is activating his forward dock adjacent to Megator Rex. He probably wants to produce even more units, and he's playing a war machine so that he can produce 4 more units and get an additional discount. As far as I remember, he also has Sarween tools. He does. So that's a discount of 2 when producing, and he can produce 4 more units than the space dock normally can provide. But he doesn't use that. He only produces 2 units, a Dreadnought and his flagship. So there's a reason for both Arborec and Argent to feel threatened now. Oh, and he also produces 2 more fighters. And now it's Argent's turn, and he also activates his forward dock. As the first part of his tactical action, he moves his destroyer and a single infantry from Megator Rex into that system. And that's simply because Argent will probably either lose Atlas or Megator Rex, and since Argent has both a space dock and a PDS on Atlas, it's probably better to protect that planet. So that's why he abandons Megator Rex entirely, and then he also produces some extra destroyers or Strike Wing Alphas there to try and keep Sarlacc Nor out of his system. Well, he can't really attack in this game round, but then it's a good defense in the next game round. So 3 destroyers, 2 fighters and 1 mech. And now Argent hope that's enough to get Sarlacc to think twice before activating that system, even though he can't because it has been locked down. Now it's Arborec's turn, and he activates the system in front of his home system to first move some ships in there, but also to produce some units. So I'm trying to save 3 resources, 3 trade goods and 3 influence to score that objective, so that's why I didn't buy any tokens when leadership ran. And now I'm saving 1 planet for the resources, and I also have the trade goods available. And now it's Hakan's turn, and he plays the technology card. So Arborec follows, pays 1 token from the strategy pool, spends 4 resources, and research Dark Energy Tap. And this will prove really good for Arborec very soon. And now we roll for the politics card, and it is being played. So everybody can now spend 1 token to buy 2 action cards. But a part of the house rule is that also everybody gets to roll for who becomes speaker. So whoever rolls the highest becomes speaker, and in case of a tie, those 2 players will roll again. Moving on to Sarlacc Nor, and now he activates his home system to produce more units. And of course Sarlacc Nor wants some dreadnoughts out there. That is what he can do, that is his specialty. But he also needs to score some public objectives. So he produces a dreadnought and 4 fighters, which is the maximum he can produce in his home system. And let's see what Argent is up to now. He also activates his home system. And one of the bad things about playing Argent is that you have 3 planets in your home system. So it requires quite many ground forces or a super strong fleet above the planets if you want to protect it from kingslaying later in the game. One of the good things is Argent's agent that allows you to place any produced ground forces on adjacent planets in both the same system, but also on planets in adjacent systems. So that helps protect those 3 planets quite a bit. On the forward dock we got 1 make out for free using self-assembly routines, but this time we have to pay for them ourselves. And he just flipped the agent so that they can be placed on any planet he wants near the space dock. And Arborec is playing the warfare card and lifts the token from the system he activated on his last turn, where he also produced a dreadnought and some infantry as far as I remember. And now it's Hakan's turn. So he activated on Archon Vale adjacent to Megator Rex and is flying out there. So he took Archon Vale. Sarlacc Nor passed when it got to be his turn. So did Argent. But Arborec is flying out to the beta wormhole, the empty system there, to explore the first frontier token, and he found an enigmatic device that allows him to research one technology by spending 6 resources. And now he activates the other empty system adjacent to his home system and explores that frontier token with a dreadnought, and there he found a gamma wormhole. So now we have access to Malice. And that will also be an important part of this game for Arborec. So we are now in the status phase. Argent is about to score the spent 8 resources objective, and that brings him up to 4 points. And Arborec is going for the spend 3 resources, 3 influence and 3 trade goods objective, which is also a horrible objective to score, because you could really use those resources in other ways during the game round, but that's how it is. And Hakan is scoring his first secret objective, and that is to control a planet in a system where another player also controls a planet. So that's why it was a really good deal for him to get hold of Arinam, which he shares with Argent. And let's see, what is the last stage 1 public objective? Control more planets than each of 2 of your neighbors. Alright, that's an interesting one for Sarlacc Nor and his exotriremes. So now we are in the agenda phase. The first agenda has just been revealed here. It's the Minister of Commerce. Elect player. The elected player gains this card. And it basically says that whenever the owner of this card gains control of a new planet, then they will also earn 1 trade good. And the Hack Election action card has just been played. So that means that the vote order is reversed. So instead of going clockwise, we're going counterclockwise. Arborec is playing an assassinate representative. So who is going to die here? That was Hakan, and Argent is not allowed to play in this agenda phase, simply because I both play Arborec and Argent, and it will be too easy to dominate the entire agenda phase if I have both factions in my control. So now it's just between Sarlacc Nor and Arborec to figure out who becomes Minister of Commerce. So it seems like that Sarlacc has just played 6 votes on himself, and Arborec votes 7 votes on himself and becomes Minister of Commerce. And the second agenda, Judicial Abolishment. When this agenda is revealed, if there are no laws in play, discard and reveal another agenda from the top of the deck. But besides that, it is elected law, and then we can get rid of one of the laws that are in play. So we are simply voting for which law to remove from the game. But Minister of Commerce is removed, so that was very short-lived for Arborec to have that. So the final score after round 3 is that Argent is in the lead with 4 points, Hakan and Arborec on a shared second place with 3 points, and Sarlacc Nor on a last place with 2 points.